All right, so question number three asks you to explain the advantages of substrate cycles when it comes to regulating metabolic pathways. So substrate cycles allow us to allow nature to exert greater control on metabolic flux uh, than would otherwise be provided basically if there wasn't a substrate cycle. So just to review, so flux, first of all, metabolic flux, J, is just the forward velocity of our metabolic pathway. Sorry, my pen is not working particularly well. Forward velocity minus the reverse velocity. All right, that's all it is. So I will illustrate an example for you here. All right, if we have a chemical A that gets converted to product B, all right, and we can have a substrate cycle here where A goes to B and B can also get converted back to A. All right, well, on the example over here, we'll give the forward reaction here, VF. We'll give it a rate of, let's say, sorry, I'm just trying to think of a good example here. Rate of 10. All right, and we'll give the reverse reaction here a rate of 5. All right, well, in this case, all right, our flux J would be 5, right? We have a net forward velocity of 5, whatever units we're using here. All right, now, if I didn't have the substrate cycle and I wanted to regulate the conversion of A to B, right, I could change this velocity, the forward velocity, by 2. So let's just say I decrease this by a factor of 2. So I'm going to divide by 2, right? And so I could get a change in that forward velocity of that twofold factor, right? Similarly, I could do the same with the reverse. Let's say I'm going to instead now multiply this one by 2. All right, well, before, my J was 5, right? Well, in this case, I've only changed these rates by twofold. So, the forward velocity just went down by a factor of 2. The reverse one went up by a factor of 2. Well, what has happened to my flux now? My old flux was 5. My new flux is actually negative 5. So by exerting just tiny little controls here, I've completely flipped the direction of this reaction, right? Even if I left this other one alone, let's just say, I didn't do anything to the reverse one. We'll go with that, right? Well, in this case, my flux now, J, is 0. All right, so I basically, infinitely reduced the flux from 5 to 0, by fact, yeah, so, totally changed the flux here, but I only made a twofold change in one of the rates. So basically, the advantages of substrate cycles are that small changes in the rates or the velocities of the forward or reverse processes can have relatively large changes on flux. All right, and that's what the answer to number 3 is.